Want to know how to raise a perfect puppy? Here are my top 10 ways in which you can do so. Exposure. Exposure is one of the most important things you're going to need to nail with your puppy. Taking them to new environments where they're going to experience the world around them is going to be so beneficial for them in the long run. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm not allowed to take my puppy out before they've had their vaccinations or their jabs. Well, that's where you're wrong. You're not allowed to put them on the floor, but you absolutely are allowed to carry them and take them out with you. Putting them into a papoose or just carrying them by hand is what's going to help you stand out from the rest. Desocialization for a puppy starts actually as early as 3 weeks. From 3 to 12 weeks is that bracket where you're going to need to be exposing that puppy to everything. Now, a good breeder will have already started this for you, and they'll have already started to expose them to different sights and smells. For example, having a radio on while the puppies are in their weaning boxes, or they're letting them play with balloons and things to help them expose them to loud bangs. This is something you're going to need to carry on throughout their life, and especially in those early crucial moments, you're going to need to be exposing them to absolutely everything that you can think of. Crate training. Crate training should start the very first day that you get your puppy. This is why I also recommend that you pick your puppy up earlier on in the day, so you've got the daylight to utilize this time. Because there's nothing more stressful than it getting to night, you're then trying to crate train your puppy, it's getting stressful, you're trying to go to bed, and all you can hear is screams. Take it from me, starting to crate train your dog as early as you possibly can is going to be so much more beneficial for you and your puppy in the long run. The crate needs to be their safe haven, their place that they can go to decompress, to switch off, to get their alone time. By crate training your dog, you're already implementing that level of structure that they absolutely desire. Make it fun and interesting. Use crate games in order to help build a nice positive association with that crate. So don't be a fool and leave it to the last minute. Crate train your puppy from the day dot. Toilet training. Toilet training is something that you're going to have to put into a routine for your dog to understand. They're not going to understand that they're meant to do their business outside. Now, a crucial point I would say here, avoid puppy pads. All puppy pads do is teach your dog that it's okay to wee indoors. What I would suggest that you do is clear a nice space out in your garden, make it nice and sterile, and utilize that place to take your dog to go to the toilet. So then when it is the time that they can go out into the garden, they already know where they're allowed to go. Setting clear rules and boundaries. Now this is one where a lot of dog owners tend to fluff up on, as it's the moment. I get it, you've just got a puppy, you've brought them home, they're all cute, they're all snuggled up, they're ready to go to bed, they're ready to go to sleep, and you think, oh, do you know what, just for tonight I'll let them sleep in bed with me. You've already messed up. That dog is then going to understand that through association is where they sleep. You don't want to be doing this. The more and more you allow your dog to sleep in bed with you, and the more and more you allow this to happen, the more and more you're setting yourself up much more stress in the long run, especially if you've got a bigger dog. Look, I get it. It's a puppy, it's small, it's compact, you can take it everywhere. But say, for example, you've got, I don't know, a Bernese mountain dog, for example. You're taking that to bed with you from a puppy. Later down the line, that dog's gonna get much, much bigger. Therefore, you're gonna have to live with that. Setting clear rules and boundaries is so important for you and your puppy, as not only is it setting clarity for them, but it's also giving them accountability for them to progress later on in life. Great way in which you can do this is attaching a house lead to your puppy when they're inside. Therefore, you can control them without actually needing to touch them, as this is actually a very key way in which you can accidentally reinforce behaviors. We've all heard the saying, oh, they think it's a game. Yes, they absolutely think it's a game because you've reinforced it as one. If you're allowing your puppy to run upstairs and you're there running up after them, making noise, telling them to come back to you like, Fido, come back here right now, and you then pick them up and take them back downstairs again, you have reinforced that dog to understand this is actually quite fun. I get my owner to chase me, they then touch me and reinforce that behavior. If you don't want to do this, have them on a house lead, and as they go to run upstairs, you can grab that house lead, use your correction command, and redirect them back to where you want them to be, if that be their crate or if they're playing with them, for example. Like point 2, utilizing the crate as a rule and a boundary is going to be so beneficial for you, especially if you're trying to teach calm behaviors and letting your puppy decompress. Desensitize your dog to real life events. There are 2 key events that come to mind when I think of exposing your puppy to life events, and they are the groomers and the vet. vets. If you are taking your dog to these places consecutively and letting them know that it is a positive environment, you're going to be setting yourself up for so much more success. So if it gets to later down the line and your dog gets stressed out or anxious or upset with being in those environments and don't like being left there, it's actually your fault because you have not put in the necessary precaution in preventing that from happening. So even if your dog isn't booked in at the vets, or even if they're not booked in for an appointment at the groomers, take them anyway. Introduce them to the vets, introduce them to their groomers. Let that groomer interact with them and play with them and interact with them in a positive way. Therefore, when it actually comes to the event of them going to these places, they're going to find it so much more desirable. This also slots in with exposure, and the groomers is a great example of this. Utilize exposing them to the grooming equipment, turning the fan on, turning it off, turning the dryer on, turning it off, using brushes, putting them near the dog, sniffing it, and rewarding that behavior. All of this is going to account to the bigger picture of that dog being so much more comfortable in being in that environment. The same goes for the vets. Take them to the waiting room, let them explore the waiting room, play with them in the waiting room, let them interact with the people that are in the waiting room. Obviously within reason, if you've got dogs in there that are a bit ill on things, try and avoid those. But still, this is going to be so crucial in teaching your puppy that this isn't a place where you need to freak out and get anxious or scared. It should be a positive experience for you so that you're going to be coming here more in the future and not be worrying about it. Hand feeding. Food to a dog is such a primary resource. Therefore, if you can take that primary resource, stick it into a treat pouch, and only give that dog access to that food throughout the day, you are not only going to be skyrocketing that dog's food drive, but you're also going to be becoming so much more valuable to that dog. If you've got that dog's primary resource on you at all times, they're absolutely going to be wanting to come near you. They're absolutely going to be wanting to interact with you because you're going to be building that intrinsic desire to work with you as you have got that primary resource on hand. I get it, treats are amazing and dogs love them, but you're going to be saving so much more money by just hand feeding your dog. And not only by doing this, you're also going to be skyrocketing that dog's food drive in the long run. Use your dog's food to build engagement. Use your dog's food to teach them new tricks or to brush up on your obedience. This is going to be so monumental in building more of a drive for training. I personally don't use treats anymore, as by using the dog's food, it boosts my relationship with that dog tenfold. Whenever your puppy does something that you love throughout the day, you can give them access to their food straight away, and it's going to be reinforcing behaviors far quicker than if you just had set training sessions. Teach them a place or let them sleep. This is going to be something that is going to be so beneficial for you and your puppy. Let your puppy sleep. Your puppy on average needs at least 18 hours of sleep. So only expect them to be awake for at least 4 to 5 hours throughout the day. Therefore, when they need sleep, give them access to it and let them know that when you offer them either a place or a crate, that is your area to utilize for that point. If you're keeping your puppy awake, you're going to be laying so much amounts of stress onto that animal, which is just unnecessary. Let them sleep. Do not compare yourself. Now, this is something that's a little bit more personal to the owner. Social media is an absolute toxic advocate for this. You're there scrolling through social media and you're seeing all these people smashing it with their pups, or maybe one person crate trained their pup and it only took like 2 days and then you're there struggling after a week. Do not compare yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy. Every dog is different, therefore it's going to take time. Some dogs might pick it up a lot quicker than others. It's completely fine. Enjoy the process and take it day by day. If your puppy isn't picking up toilet training straight away, don't stress. Just keep going. If your dog isn't wanting to engage with you as much, or your bond isn't grown as fondly just yet, keep going, keep trying. Don't think there is a time limit to these things. So rather than spend time scrolling through social media, seeing everyone else smashing it with their puppies, why about you just put your phone away and smash it with yours? Dedicate time and effort into your dog and they're going to absolutely be a product of this. So don't stress, take your time and take it in day by day. Dedicate at least 10 minutes to training. If you can factor in at least 10 minutes with your puppy every single day for little training drills, this is going to be monumental for not only your relationship with your dog, but their development as well as. Dedicating at least 10 minutes to training with a puppy especially is not only going to mentally fulfill them, but it's also going to physically exert them as well as. Therefore, when it comes to more and more sleep, this is absolutely what you're going to be achieving. I would much prefer you to at least do 10 minutes every single day day than maybe once or twice a week for a few seconds at a time. This isn't going to be achieving anything. You need to reinforce behaviors. You need to make sure that dog understands that that is what I'm asking you to do. The only way you're going to be able to do this is by having training sessions every single day. Rome absolutely wasn't built in a day, and neither is your dog going to be. So dedicate this time with them in order to build what you want to achieve. Structure play in order to build drive. Structuring play is an amazing way that you can build drive with your dog. Allowing that dog to understand that you can interact with them in a way of physical exertion is going to really skyrocket not only your relationship, their desire to train, but also their desire to whatever it is you're presenting them with. Take tug, for example. If you're tugging with your puppy and then you teach them a drop, they drop the toy, you then engage with the toy again and make it more intense, that absolutely is going to build drive with that puppy. And another little side note here, or something that you can take away from this, is don't give your dog access to toys all the time. I see it far too often. People get puppies and they just buy them every single toy under the sun and chuck it into the living room where there's just toys everywhere. This is going to lose value in those items. If you take all those toys, pick them all up, and only give your puppy access to them at key points throughout the day, they're going to absolutely love you for it. The most important thing here is being able to build value and drive with you. Therefore, if you're taking away their toys, only hand feeding them and giving them access to these things throughout the day, they're absolutely going to have that desire to want to be with you. So there are my top 10 things I recommend you do with your puppy. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video and comment down below what your thoughts are, and let me know what you'd like me to film in the future. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you again soon.